What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is The Full Measure and I've released a series of videos on Tribes of Midgard, more specifically focused on the changes that we saw coming in season 3 and with the introduction of the brand new revamped survival mode. So we've already looked at some general tips to get us started. Today we're going to talk about some hard to find materials. Of course, the materials in the survival mode work a lot the same as in saga mode, so if you are familiar with the locations of these, it shouldn't be that difficult for you to apply that same knowledge to survival. But for any newcomers, it might be confusing where to find certain key materials which are really required for you to advance further, whether that is crafting some much needed upgrades to your armor, some much better weapons, or just in general things that you need to be able to progress further into survival. So when we get into the game itself and looking at first, we'll start off with gold. Now by default, and I've already set up this so that I can fast travel around and show this to you. By default, the easiest place for you to find gold is essentially just to go into hideouts or any underground passages. So specifically here I have a waypoint right next to a hideout. Let me just actually make my way past this guy quickly. 1 second. And so I have a portal here right next to this hideout here, which we're going to go ahead and jump on into. And this is going to be one of the easier ways for you to find us. I know it's super dark in here, so you guys need to bear with me. And we can just sort of make our way through these enemies here, and we'll find, usually you'll find some gold nodes located specifically on the ground. Now later on when you get to I call it the low beach area, which is where we will also be spending some time looking at another material which we potentially need to hunt for. You will be able to see another area where you can actually find gold, but by far the easiest and the first one that you'll probably come across is the first time you go into a hideout and the first time you come into one of these areas. So you'll notice here, you'll see some gold on the ground right here. So there's one right there, one here, one here. Let's get rid of these guys. I want to get blown up, and then we can basically get the rest here. So I'm not going to bother, wasting your time with picking up any of those, but that's by far the easiest way to get gold. And then as I mentioned, when we get to the low beach area for our second, attempt at finding gold, we can obviously cover that there as well. Now, I will just quickly jump out here and get us onto our second material, which conveniently I saw them running up to me outside here. And that is, of course, fur. So fur in the game comes from mostly wolves and werewolves. That's probably the easiest way to get it. But something else that's definitely worth noting, because out of all of the resources that we're going to be talking about in this list today, fur is the odd one out here because it's not really a specific area that I can tell you to go to, because of course wolves and werewolves, they spawn all over the map, more specifically in your green areas. But it's not like I can tell you, hey, go here to this base here and for sure you will find some fur from a werewolf or a wolf that you can kill there. So in this case, what I would rather suggest is that you should bear in mind that every game, every survival map has 4 vendors on it that you can find across the map. Usually your first vendor is located quite close to your base, and then the other vendors would be spread all across the map. I have vendor number 2 there, vendor number 3 there, and my vendor number 4 is all the way over there. Now what that means is that I'm able to go to those vendors, and I'll show you what I mean. I can travel to those vendors, and these vendors, they sell all kinds of different materials. Each one sells as the different stock that they maintain, and oftentimes you can find the material or the things that you're looking for within their inventory there. And of course the only thing you need to do to get that is to farm up some souls and trade for that. So there's a good way for you to compensate for not being able to find certain things out in the wild. Now the next one is Selkie Flippers. And this is actually the low beach area that I was referring to before. So if we go here, you'll notice that you have these sort of like islandy areas that are essentially made up of completely just low beach. So it's not like it's attached to the land like here where you can usually, farm the Vikings or so on. So specifically here, you'll notice you have these Selkies. And of course, when you kill them, you get yourself some Selkie Flippers, as you can see there. Now you'll notice that all over here you'll also find gold deposits. This is a fun little connected to the first one that we had there, and another way for you to essentially get gold. And it's actually quite a large amount of these deposits available here. So as soon as you're able to build a boat and you're looking for some gold, by sailing around and finding one of these low areas, you will absolutely be sorted out when it comes to that. The fifth resource, and this is probably the one that I struggled with the most once I was looking for large quantities of it, is of course yarn. Now yarn itself, there's two different qualities of yarn in the game. So the basic quality of it is just called yarn, and then of course the upgraded version of it was called spun yarn. And the easiest way to differentiate which one you'll get is dependent on the level of the area. So low level areas, the mobs that you kill will spawn yarn when they die, and high level areas, they'll spawn spun yarn. But specifically, you have to go to these attached beach areas on each one of the islands. So conveniently over here, I have a waypoint that I can show you what I mean, but you'll see that when I go down here and I kill some of these enemies around here, you'll see that the resource that they drop is in actual fact the spun yarn that I'm looking for. Now this spun yarn, and coincidentally also unsunken talismans, which is another rare resource that you might be struggling to find. I'll just show you again. I'll go over here, and this is generally an easy way for you to find spun yarn and actually sort of like jump past the point of having to turn normal yarn into spun yarn. Now if you want just normal yarn, you simply just in this area here, this is where I started, any one of these areas here, these beach areas here, will have the same kind of mobs that I just killed there, but just lower level versions of them, and they will give you yarn. And then last but not least, unfrozen talismans. So just now we saw unsunken talismans. There's also unfrozen talismans in the game, and for that you need to be going to the ice areas. Now any of the mobs, more specifically the humanoid mobs that you kill in ice areas, will drop this resource for you to be able to use for crafting. If I run up here, there should be a bunch of them standing around here. Here we go. And as soon as we kill these guys, you'll notice that they drop unfrozen talisman as well as yarn, which once again brings us back to the fourth resource we looked at. So these 5: gold, fur, Selkie Flipper, yarn, spun yarn to a degree, and then of course unfrozen talisman, and with the unsunken talisman also being part of there, are some of the materials that I've at least seen in comments of videos on Reddit and in general people struggling to find because of perhaps it being their first time that they're playing something like survival, and so that they don't really know where to get these. So those are the areas where you can find those, but do remember, as mentioned, that you can always backfill any additional materials that you need by spending your souls at any one of the 4 vendors that spawn within any game of survival. And that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it this far. I'll be producing a couple of more videos specifically targeting the survival part of the new Season 3 update for Tribes of Midgard. But please let me know in the comments down below if there's any specific additional advice, help, or anything like that you need for Tribes of Midgard. I'm really enjoying the game right now. It's in a fantastic state right now, and it's the best possible time to return to it, to play it. I hope to see you guys enjoying it. And just remember to have fun. But that's it for the video. Thank you so much. It's just super important to me that you have a fantastic morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are in the world. And until next video, fucking cheers.
They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me.